Welcome to the July 21st edition of Monday Night Memories. And of course, we will have a special guest again this week, another key role player, guy that only caught 22 passes that year, but there were some big ones. And that, of course, is A.T. Simpson, much heralded recruit out of Indianapolis. Nate, he was a guy that was a great option for Drew Brees in very key situations, but also a part of the story of this 2000 Big Ten Championship 2001 Rose Bowl team.
Well, as everybody knows, Drew's gotten a lot of coverage, and we've talked about his great offensive line in another episode of this, but you've got to have great wide receivers, Alan. You got to have guys that are clutch, and AT's another one of those. There were a lot of clutch moments, as you alluded to, and he was a big part of it. And I know Drew was just quizzed on social media a few weeks ago about the different number of receivers that caught so many balls from him at Purdue. So certainly another part of the great Purdue story with AT.
All right, enjoy the interview with A.T. Simpson. Alan Karpick here with A.T. Simpson, and when A.T. Simpson and I talk, it's like old times. I mean, we haven't talked all that often, but we had a fun on one of his birthday Zooms not too long ago. But the story of the 2000 Rose Bowl season goes deeper than Joe Tiller, Drew Brees. It took everybody to get Purdue to Pasadena, and A.T. Simpson had a key role in some very key moments on that team. And I'm sure, through the lens of 25 years, hard to believe, but that you had a lot to take from. AT, first, thanks for taking the time today and sharing, I think, which for Purdue world, this is a celebration. This is a great memory, one of the great moments in the history of Purdue football, the 2000 season.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. It's a joy to be here, and it's an honor. Purdue was very good to me and my family, and continues to be good. And we're just happy. Me and my family. I'm just happy to be here, man. I grew up watching the legacy of Coach Leroy Keys and how he conducted himself in life after football. So he was kind of our team's North Star, right? And so it produced not only great men, but great dads, great sons, great husbands, and great fathers. So Purdue has been very good to me, and hopefully I'm able to continue to be good for Purdue as we reach back into the new regime.
Well, you mentioned Leroy Keys, and of course, Leroy was part of the first Rose Bowl. He's a sophomore on that team, and he made the all-time Rose Bowl team amazingly as a defensive back. And of course, a super talented guy, a father figure to a lot, a leader to so many during his tenure. And one of the great players to ever play at Purdue, if not the greatest, number 23. When you first looked at Purdue and had that opportunity, you were a quote unquote hot recruit at the time out of Indianapolis, and a receiver, and Billy Dicken and company had come in. Joe Tiller had come in with basketball on grass in 1990. You saw that, and then you saw a guy named Drew Brees take over the reins at quarterback. What got you over the edge to decide, hey, because you had a lot of offers from a lot of places. What got you to Purdue?
I just thought that the conversations being had were genuine. I just thought that those people were people that I had either seen in my community or went to church with or had in school. Just a genuine people at Purdue, right? And we believe that everyone at Purdue is special. And so Morgan Burke did a great job of hiring Joe Tiller, who lived up to be a great coach, but better man than he was a coach, and he was one heck of a coach. And it didn't stop with him. It stopped with he coached Coach E-Man, Coach Burks, Coach Scott Downing, Coach Jim Chaney, Coach Olson, Coach Sumlin. Joel Thomas was a GA who's with the NFL. So you sit back 25 years later, and I apologize for who I missed, but you sit back 25 years later and you look and say, this guy's a head coach in college. This guy's a offensive coordinator in the NFL. This guy's a retired coordinator who's doing consulting. This guy's a great dad. This guy's a great son. And so we sit back, and when I talk with some of my former teammates, we just talk about just good high character guys. And I know it sounds cliche, but man, at 6 a.m, you're doing those workouts, you really start to understand like it's bigger than you, right? And so we had some great times, and Coach Tiller did a great job of kind of forcing us at his own expense of making it about us, the team, right? And he was okay being the outlier and everybody kind of getting mad at him as we're running, but we're like, you know what, we're going to do it as a team. And throughout the course of that particular season, but leading up into that season, you started to see the team change, right? And so, we had some big home wins, some big road wins, and we were always prepared. And that's one thing that I appreciate about Coach Tiller and his staff from top to bottom, and his support staff in the admin staff in the building, is we were always prepared, right? And so that has helped me, be successful as a son and as a husband and as a dad. Those things just carried on. And so when you look at the team, the roster up and down, you see great men doing great things in their said community. So I guess to circle back, the one thing that Coach Tiller did was he showed us how to be men, right? And so he took great pride in that. So.
All right, now your sophomore year, it would have been your freshman year, 1998. You guys go out to USC and play in the hottest football game in Purdue history, and they're still talking about that. And of course, guys, Ben Smith's talked about it. But a key moment there in that season. Even after a loss, you lose that opening game. You play well in the first half. Drew does what he does in the first half against USC, and then USC beats you in the second half. But the day after, I think it was you guys had a special trip and Joe Tiller talking about beginning with the end of the mind. Not only did you go to Universal Studios, but you went to that place called the Rose Bowl 2 years before the team got there. What impact, if any, did that have on you? What did that say to you about what not only Joe Tiller thought, but this football team thought moving ahead?
Yeah, I just thought that the way that we bounced back, we all come from historic high school programs and career. We're the best on our team, right? And so we all take losing hard, right? And so we prepared. That was one of the longer football camps that we had anybody had been through the coaches, right? And so we put a lot of stock into that game as we wanted to compete and want to win. And so just for Coach to believe in us after we suffered a heartfelt loss and take advantage of the moment to say, hey, all's not lost and we'll get back here. I mean, we're little country kids from Indiana, man. So for him to really think and be forward thinking, and that let us know that he wasn't afraid to compete. And if it was that important to him, then we knew he would make it important to us. So and look at how things worked out, right?
Funny how things do work out. Okay, the 2000 season gets there. And you had your most productive year that year as well, as a big part of that passing offense with Drew Brees. It's an interesting year. You have a couple of easier games to start. You go to Notre Dame, don't throw the football very often, only 22 pass attempts in that game, and then beat Minnesota. But you lose to Notre Dame in a heartbreaking game, and lose to Penn State. And then all of a sudden, after 5 games, you're 3-2. What your takeaway from those experiences as a team? You had seniors that know how to lead, no question. But what was that like, and what did you learn about yourselves when you're sitting there with those tougher losses to Notre Dame and Penn State on the front end?
Yeah, you think about losing at Notre Dame, at Penn State, on the front end. So what we learned is we know we can compete in these environments, right? And so you go in, you take a tough loss, you want to win, but you're like, okay, we did some things well, right? And I think that was kind of always the things we learned from the loss. Like, we did some things well. We fixed a few things. When our time comes, we'll win, right? And so we never thought that we were out of the game, and we never thought that the moment was too big for us. You play at Notre Dame Stadium. I think that was maybe at 3 p.m., so that's their prime time. I can't remember the exact time. Yeah. And then I believe we played in it may have been a whiteout at Penn State, if memory serves me correct. I played in one of those. I can't remember which one. And so, man,
I think it might have been 2000.
Yeah, I think you talk about just playing in some really good hostile environments, right? And so we were prepared. We realized, like, it's not going to get any louder. The football is still played within the same dimensions, right? And so that's one of the things that we built on. We said, I remember Coach, as they talk about the game plan, all 3 phases, special teams, offense, and defense, we says, we're going to continue to get a game plan where we feel like we can win, and it's about time for us to go win them. So.
All right, you're sitting there at halftime in the Michigan game, and you're down 28-10. As I've told the first couple, and it was the largest deficit that Purdue has ever come back from to win. But you're sitting there down 28-10 at the half, and as the story goes, Joe Tiller gives a speech like, "Let's go out and expect to win." But what do you remember? Because you're getting longer in the tooth as as a player. It's your junior year. You have Drew Brees at quarterback, and you need to win that game if you're going to reach your goals as a football team. What do you recall from that experience, and of course that great comeback in the second half?
I recall Coach Chaney coming in with just pure enthusiasm. Like, man, that's it's over. Let's go win it, right? And I remember we had some great leaders and some awesome personalities, but I remember Tim Stratton kind of leading the surge. Like, man, he put water in his hair, slicked it back, and was like, let's go win it, right? And then obviously we know about number 15 and his ability to compete, right? And so we rallied the troops, and he says, if we're going to win this game or lose this game, let's go have some fun. And I think like we came out of the locker room like smiling, like we're going to go have some fun, right? Like it's Michigan, it's at home. Why not us? Why not do it, right? And one thing led to another, and we started getting the possessions, and the crowd got into it, and the rest is history. But we really started believing. So that was an awesome turn of events. Just Coach Chaney coming in, Coach Downing getting the special teams together, Coach Spack. Everybody was kind of in their moment being coached up as if the game was tied or something, And I was like, man, that's how you go win. And it was everything we worked for during those summer conditionings and winter conditionings. It all started to manifest itself right there.
All right. Now I'm going to get you to where were you at the moment? Travis Dorsch, who had missed a field goal with 3 minutes to go, and much things looked tough, but all of a sudden he gets another chance. Where were you when he slid that one through the goalpost?
I believe I was standing not too far from Coach Hope. Coach Hope was an animated guy when it came time for it, and around Coach Hope, and I want to say around like Seth Morales, my core group of guys, Ralph Turner, Montrell Lowe, just sitting there, right? And it's like, this is it, because we go through practice and you have no there's nothing you can do while kicking. Like there's nothing. It's like, here we go, Travis. We've seen you make them, and Coach Tiller would always prepare him. And Travis stepped up and did what he needed to do, and it was, as we always say, never a doubt, right? So
never a doubt.
That was it. Never a doubt.
All right, now 2 weeks later, you do beat Michigan, and Travis's game-winning field goal in the closing seconds of that game. You go up to Northwestern and beat a very good Northwestern team that ended up tying you for the Big Ten championship. That game really, in the end of the day, they all were equally important to getting yourselves to Pasadena. But against Wisconsin, you play a huge role in that game. You catch a touchdown pass. First, I would think, I'm going to put words in your mouth, but receivers remember, they probably still dream about that play, the touchdown reception for the pass across the middle of Drew, threaded perfectly, and you caught that thing in the back of the end zone, if memory serves. What do you remember from that play? And do you still remember walking out of the huddle knowing it may be coming to you, or were you surprised that you were maybe the third or fourth progression? I don't even know what that is.
You are 100% right, Alan. You remember that stuff like yesterday. I probably could remember the play call if you pressed me hard enough. But I honestly remember we practiced that play. I kid you not, man, at least 50 plus times, whether it be Skelly, walkthrough, or team, right? And so I practiced it, and it got to the point where the scout team knew we were running that play, and I would just get destroyed by the end of the week because they were chomping at the bit. And so Coach, that was just kind of one of our plays that we knew we would have early success on. And it came in the huddle. Camp Randall's pretty loud place. Yeah. And I broke the huddle and I saw the coverage. And I mean, you talk about the number 15, Drew Brees, and one thing he knows how to do is he knows how to move safeties, right? And so it just opened up just like I thought. And I was like so wide open. You see me kind of jump because I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm that wide open, you know what I mean? And so I caught it, and that was like a really cool feeling, And so I just remember like practicing it 50 times a week, and then like lo and behold, Coach Chaney calls and we score. And we get back to the sideline, and Coach Chaney's like, "See, kind of one of those I told you so, man." So it was fun to be a part of the game plan that way for sure that week.
How do you know? And I have to ask this, and when if we get a chance to talk to Seth, similar situation, that ball's coming and you see it coming in real time, kind of coming at you. And you're the only one in the world that can catch it. And there ain't no way you can't catch it, but you got to catch it. What's that like? I mean, what's that like in that experience?
It was like slow motion, right? It's like you go through practice and you can kind of catch your rhythm. And I was, in the spread offense, you may have one or two opportunities, right? And if you mess up, you may not get another one for another few weeks, if ever again, right? And so I just remember, I'm like, the ball is moving significantly slower in game speed than it was in practice speed, right? And so it's like you see it, I don't know, like a cartoon. It was like in slow motion, almost trying to catch a frisbee. You know what I mean? It's like, and you catch it, and man, I probably caught that ball. I could have probably burst the ball as hard as I squeezed, once I got it. So that was some good fun right there, being able to do that. So yeah, I'm interested. I ask Seth all the time, what was it like? And he'll harass me and be like, man, don't start, what it's like to catch a ball. But it's and especially watching the game now, you're like, oh man, I know what those kids are thinking about. But perfect throw, Drew threw it over the linebackers to the second levels. He worked the safeties with his eyes, and I live to tell about it. So hey,
there you go. That's how your brother said. A key touchdown in one of the great victories in Purdue history. Now, you get another one of where are you now? Where were you? I'm assuming also on the sideline when Craig Terrell blocks the field goal attempt in overtime after Aiken Adele makes a huge sack. Where were you, and and did you get to the end zone to celebrate with Asante and company? How fast did you run down there after you scoop and score?
That was just absolutely awesome, because the year before, maybe 2 years before, I think we went up to Wisconsin, played a night game. They had Ron.
Oh, yes, you did.
We threw the ball like 80 times. We were making completions like 2 and 3 yards, and we heard over the microphone, Ron Dane. If you were in that area, they just called his name. And it was just a really cool experience for the experience playing at Camp Randall. And then you start thinking, man, as we were planning the game that we're talking about, and it's like we can actually win at Camp Randall, right? Yeah. And so I remember going into to overtime, and it's like, man, we worked so hard. We knew we had everything going, and you say every prayer and practice every religion just to come out with a win, and then you hear that beautiful sound when it's happening in your favor, that doo-doo, that thud, right? And so
that's what I wanted someone to say, that double sound. That's what said.
That thud, when you hear it and it works for you, and you're there, right? And normally you kind of, it'll swirl out of bounds, backwards, anything, man. And to Ashante's credit, he scooped and scored. But I tell you, that defense, we could see them in practice and special teams. They were just gaining so much momentum, and they would try and take the ball from us and go run for touchdowns and do things like that. And so we would always harass them, like, man, you better do that in the game, or they were just getting their momentum. And lo and behold, man, number 7 scooped it up, scored, took it to the house, and it's like, man, I think I saw Joe Tiller run down there with him. We all just run and jump on him, and that was some of the best pizza and Powerade back home you could ever have, man. That tasted so good after a win like that, for sure. So yeah.
All right, now you win that one. You win. The following week, another hair-raising game, Ohio State at home, maybe the most famous game in Purdue football history. They'll produce the Tyler Trent game against Ohio State. It was certainly remarkable. But, okay, so you play another key role in that play, and nobody talks about it, but coaches do, the people that know about it. The famed play, the 64-yard pass to Seth Morales.
Yeah.
Might have been the third progression, but talk about just coaches, and Scott Downing's talked about this, Ben Smith's talked about it, the fact that you guys were taught to run each route hard, and I believe it was Downing that it gave you credit for really opening up that avenue for Seth, because you made it, you ran that route right, and Drew Brees was skilled enough to look off progression 2 or 3 or whatever you were and get to number 4 into Seth Morales. What do you remember?
Yeah, so I just remember that week. I think we kind of keyed in to know Ohio State was good at following reads 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 is where we would have some opportunity, right? And so on that progression, Seth and I were options number 3 and 4. And if memory serves me correct, I want to say we were going into this. If you look at that play, we were running the 2-minute offense, and we were going into halftime. And Mike Doss came down, who was a safety then. He came down on me, and there was no help behind him. And I think Drew was cerebral enough. I catch it for meaningless. It was meaningless going into halftime. We're just running some plays, trying to see if we can pop one. I remember Mike Doss. He came down so hard on me. At halftime, I'm getting checked out by the trainers because he had hit me in the kidney pretty hard, and I was, I had some blood and stuff. And so we're talking about that play, that progression. And then we go out there, same play called, I think, if memory Twins right, yellow 74X Z pole, right? And so the first option was, I want to say either Vinny or John running the hitch. The second option was either Vinny or John. They were on the same play call side running the fade, right? And so they knew that's a strong tandem. Those two guys are really good. So they're going to take them away. And then Seth and I are on the backside of that, which will be we call 74X, is the Z pole, right? And the pole means it was for me to get either reading the coverage to either get to the other side, the other hash, opposite hash I was on, or split the safeties and take them away, right? And so, like I said earlier, Ohio State was going to take away 1 and 2 and maybe 3 at that time, right? And so that's when Doss bit down pretty hard on me, leaving Seth wide open to forever be famous, right? And so, and it couldn't happen to a better person. But that we learned, in that offense with Drew Brees and Coach Chaney calling plays, and anybody, you always had a chance. You had to make an opportunity of it, right, man? And so, if you were on the field, you had a chance to make a play. Number 84, Seth Morales, had a chance to make a play, right? And the most important thing was do it. And Coach Tiller had a saying. He says, do it the right way, do it that way, do it every time, and do it when nobody's watching, right? Yeah. And so that's what you learn from 6 in the morning and through summer camp and losing at Notre Dame and losing at Penn State. And it's just like, man, you eventually things will start to fall in your favor. And so they did, and that was pretty awesome. I always tell people my claim to fame is I was on the field when Seth caught the ball, and as it's going over my head, I'm thinking, who is he? Oh my gosh, Seth, catch it! And I run and pick Seth up, and I'm like, you got it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was an awesome time, man, for sure.
No doubt. You got that end zone and number 84 and number 80 celebrating great moments in Purdue history. All right, a couple of weeks down the road, you lose a game at Michigan State. You get the right roll with Northwestern losing to Iowa. That helped. And in fact, the week before, kind of a bye week after you beat Ohio State, one nice thing was that Michigan got beat by Northwestern. That was important for all the puzzle pieces to fall the right way for Purdue. All right, you get to the bucket game, and everybody has a memory of that celebration on the field after that game. And of course, you being an Indiana kid, beating Indiana is an important thing as well. But beating Indiana to go to the Rose Bowl, what was that moment like for you?
It was a great moment. I remember being before we were able to take Victory O. I remember being in the huddle with we were heavy run that game, and just some of the guys.
27 consecutive straight plays, right? The same off tackle play, right? Yeah.
I just remember to this day my good friends, obviously Brandon Gorn, Matt Light, Chucky, Gene, Chris Randolph, Tim Stratton, Montrell Lowe. I just remember Chucky literally just drooling because he was so excited to run the ball. I remember Montrell's knee pads were almost to his ankles because he had just been running tackles so much. And that was kind of when it was getting really dark and the fans kind of figured it out. And you kind of look over your shoulders. You're like, man, this is really cool. And I remember one as we broke the huddle and then came back, I saw somebody handing out roses, and I said, wow. I was like, man. And I had always seen, growing up watching the Big Ten, you always saw that famed picture or scene of Charles Woodson having a rose in his mouth, right? And I was like, and ironically, Woodson was Charles was my host up at Michigan on my visit. So just to be able to read, that was the first thing that went in my mind. I said, I'm getting a rose and I'm biting it, So that was a real cool part. Just a great season, great men and great coaches, and it's just awesome. Just giving me chills. Just excited to think about it, So.
Yeah, and then obviously you get to the Rose Bowl, and I've asked everybody what your favorite Rose Bowl. I know the game didn't go like you guys would have liked to beat with Washington, but you had just being there. And what was your favorite moment? Was it running on the field? Was it what do you recall? What's your takeaway a quarter century later from that experience?
Yeah, obviously some great moments. I think one, just the amount of media coverage just going out to it, just being able to experience it. A kid from back home, going out to do that. It was around the holidays, and so we got to eat some In-N-Out burger. That was really fun for us.
There you go. We still love that to this day, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. I think one of the best moments for me was just being able to see my family. It was kind of like a North Star moment for us as a family. Like, wow, just especially now I'm a parent, and just to see your kids excel is like, we were able to get some not extra tickets, but because we hadn't gone in so long, they were able to open up some tickets for our families and extended family to come. So just being able to see people's extended family who they're, I think about my roommate who was from Texas, to see his family and his grandparents and parents being able to come and support. That was one of the highlights of it. And then, you talk about it, the sunset. At the Rose Bowl while you're playing, man, people can prepare you and they say it's going to start, it's going to be bright, and then the sun is going to set, and then we're going to have a winter, and it's just like you get to experience that part was pretty awesome. One of the things that I'll ask people is kind of like a icebreaker. I'll say, I got a question for you. I say, I'll say, who was the first person to catch a pass in the 2000 Rose Bowl? And they're like, we had great receivers, Tim Stratton, John Stanford, Vinny Sutherland, Seth, everybody, and I caught a pass. So that was the first one to catch. That's kind of my little fun fact, you know what I mean? So I'll take it how it comes, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the great moments for any young athlete to be able to experience. All right, you got to bring me up to date quickly on because you're a busy man, but appreciate all your time today. But what's going on in the AT Simpson's life? Work, family, friends. What's up with you?
Yeah, what's for sure, man. I'm a proud dad of a soccer. I'm a girl dad, soccer of my daughter Avery, and she plays travel soccer, so that keeps me busy, right?
Yeah.
So we're just so proud of her. Been married 11 years, and I am in a leadership position for a construction company. So we do some good work around town, and it's obviously been able to allow me to use my Purdue connections and grow the business and be reconnected with people and pursue some dream jobs on campus. So it's been a full circle moment for me. I appreciate you asking. I remember I always say this hopefully in every interview. I always told Coach Tiller I was going to be a good statistic for him, man. It was important for me to be a good student athlete and stay local to the community. And like I said earlier, I was able to see what that looked like from people like Leroy Keys and people that really invested into the community and to form relationships with people like yourself, man. I think it's I'll forever say it, man. It's the fabric, and once you understand, you understand. So Purdue's been a great place for me, and will continue to be a great place. So
you've won in the Indianapolis area, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep, I'm in Indianapolis. I am located in Indianapolis. So
good for you. And one of the proud. And you were a bad basketball player, and you can relate. You can relate to watching Matt Painter's team. There's a lot of pride that goes on with that, and maybe if Purdue fans get their way, they're going to be a chance to be being in Indianapolis for the Final Four next year. But one step at a time, that.
Just win the first one. Jim Lathrop would say one play at a time, one half at a time, one game at a time. Beat the Hoosiers, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks so much, AT. I really appreciate your time. I really enjoyed it as always, and we'll look forward to telling your story of that 2001 Rose Bowl season, 2000 season that was one of the most memorable in Purdue history.
Thank you so much. Boiler up.
Thank you to our guests from the 2000 Rose Bowl team, and of course, our sponsor, Chariot Auto Group, Twin City, and Nate Barrett and all the good folks there. We'll have another edition of Monday Night Memories with members of the 2000 Big Ten Championship 2001 Rose Bowl team next Monday, and we'll continue this throughout the summer months and possibly even into the football season. So thanks to all for watching and listening, and have a great rest of your week.